It seems like personal branding is a buzzword that everybody wants to do, and certainly the influencers have been making branding or personal branding into this lavish or this glorified thing. But what really is personal branding? Well, stay tuned. Hola mi gente, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jay Franco and I teach you how to create a personal brand by mastering your mindset, making your mark, and marking it on social media. It seems like personal branding is a buzzword that everybody wants to do, and certainly the influencers have been making branding or personal branding into this lavish or this glorified thing. But what really is personal branding? Well, stay tuned, because I was asked to be a panelist speaker at the Young Women's Leadership Symposium this year. The panel was all about branding you. Ironically, the hot topic was personal branding. So I want to take you to like a little sneak peek of the entire symposium. I've cut it down and shortened it so that you can always just get the specific question and the answer so that you start understanding what personal branding is. This is a two-part video because there was two sessions in the symposium. So there was a breakout session from breakout session 1 and breakout session 2. And in this takeaway for you is to really help to understand what a personal brand is, what it can do for you, and how to leverage it to create a business and create a movement for yourself. So I hope that you guys enjoy these questions. And the first question is straight up and simple: what is personal branding? And here you go.
So my first question is kind of to help guide all of you in understanding exactly what a personal brand is. So in your words, can you please share with us your personal definition of personal brand?
Me? Okay.
We all looked at you.
You all looked at me. So personal branding is essentially marketing yourself and your career, your skills, your personality, and your experience. So it's really simple. If you get that down, that's personal branding in a nutshell. So personal branding is really simple. And the next question that was asked is, how important is it to build a personal brand? Specifically, advice that we would give young women on, what to look for when establishing a personal brand, both those intentional and non-intentional things that we need to be really focused on when developing a personal brand. So here's my response. Yeah, and I'm just gonna recap what they both said. But the one thing that I want you guys to take away about personal branding is that you have to define your values. You have to define what you stand for, what you don't stand for, what you're gonna separate yourself from, and what you will associate yourself with. And the reason for that is that, just like Anna, if she's not wearing her heels to work every day, and that's something that I'm very known for too, the day that I'm not wearing heels, everyone's like, are you okay?
Yeah.
It's not congruent with what you're telling the world who you are. So write down your values. What's very important to you? Some of us, our core values are family. Some of us, our core values are our spirituality is God. Whatever it is that your core values are, write it down. Make them really visual in front of you, and that's who you are. Nothing that anyone says will ever deter from those core values. So what you're telling the world that you are is exactly who you are when you wake up, when you go to sleep, when you eat, at every single moment of the day. You are who you determine you want to be, not who others say you are. And that's what your personal brand is. And making sure that if you stand for something, you stand for something. I get hit a million times a day on Facebook, on Instagram, on all my social media platforms, and they ask me, hey, would you do me a favor? Could you post this? Because they know that I have a large audience. So, people that are acquaintances, can you post this for me, Bianca? I don't need you to buy anything from you. I don't need you to do anything. Just post it for me. The point is, it doesn't align with who I am as a person, my brand, what I stand for. So I'm gonna immediately say, I'm sorry, Bianca, I really don't, promote these kind of things. I don't do, get rich quick or lose weight quick. I'm into putting in hard work, and they just don't align with my core values as my brand. So I'm just gonna have to decline at the moment. I hope you understand. And so don't be afraid to stand up for yourself, to give yourself your voice and let it be heard. That is true personal branding, is letting everyone know who and what you stand for.
And sticking with it.
Exactly. That's right.
One of the things that I'm always very careful about in personal branding is making mistakes. And one of the reasons why is because we're all very vulnerable to mistakes on social media. You've seen it out in the media. Something does something and it spreads like wildfire. Next thing you know, everyone's tweeting up a storm about it. So it's really, you have to be very careful, and it's really important to make sure that your core values and that everything you stand for are also the same communication messages that you're spreading across all social media, as well as your behavior, your nonverbals, everything that you are portraying is exactly congruent with what your communication is across both, the online and offline version of you. So the question is, how do we overcome personal branding mistakes? And stay tuned to the answer.
How can we overcome a personal branding mistake? And who wants to take this one?
Oh, how can we overcome a personal brand?
Wow, I've got lots of them.
And you can share an example of one that you've witnessed, either personally or, of a friend or acquaintance.
So last, I just want to add that, if you do happen to make social media mistakes, just remember that it's not the end of the world. It may feel like it for that minute, because I've done it.
Oops.
Several times.
Oh no, delete.
And a lot of, and even at my job as a senior account executive for Stila Cosmetics, I've made some mistakes by putting social media posts or posts that I put on my personal page that may also hinder my success at my work, or maybe in my personal brand it was okay, but the fact that I also represent another corporation or a company, during that time, you always have to be mindful of what you say and what you do. Be careful who you choose to go off on social media. Not that I go off on people, but it's very important, because I see a lot of this. And just a few days ago, I was in Mexico City with our global education director, because I also have a day job. I don't just do this. I do this full time, and I have a day job. So we were talking about finding influencers, and so I'm finding influencers, and I'm getting in the Instagram, and I'm looking for, and I'm geo searching. I'm looking for specific influencers in a specific market. And on paper, this girl looked amazing. I mean, I was just like, oh, this is a girl that we need for our event. I can't wait to reach out to her, and I'm really excited about getting to work with her. I'm sitting there next to her, and I'm like, look, and then I started kind of crunching numbers in my head. Okay, she's got these many followers, this much engagement, these many likes for pictures. Okay, these top 9 pictures look this way. And then I get into her comments to see if she's responding. Because one thing that I do is I respond to everyone on Instagram. I have high engagement. If you see me, I'm constantly on Instagram, the J Franco, you'll find me there. But when I opened up the comment section, someone had trolled her account and didn't like a picture and had made a comment. So she went off on them in not so very nice words, where remember that everyone is looking. If you're going to build your own personal brand, others, not just your audience, is looking at you too. People that want to work with you. And immediately I said, man, well, she's not the girl for us. So keep in mind that how you interact with people and how you interact with negativity, because it will happen. You will get negative comments on your YouTube channel. You will get comments on your Instagram pictures telling them that they're terrible or that you may look like a clown or whatever. But just remember that those things don't define you. They're just trolls. So shake the haters off and stick to your core values.
Yes.
Lastly, we closed out this session with the third question. And it's all about giving away my 2 key points, or basically, what are the most important things in my philosophy about using social media for business and personal branding.
What important things to notice when you're doing social media? Give them 2 points. If we can just kind of bulletproof them so they can list them on there. 2 points that you would think are the most important in your philosophy of social media and using it in business professionally and personally. So 2 points that you think they should take home with them.
So what I want you guys to take away is, as I keep mentioning over and over again, stick to your values. And number 2, think before posting. Look at what you're gonna post, and if it doesn't feel right, or if you're kind of like, this is a little borderline, don't do it.
Right.
And that's it.
At the end of the session, we wrapped up with some questions, and here's one question that really stood out from the rest. And it's, what do you do when you're trying to create a personal brand, but you have no brand present currently? You mostly spend your time on social media for entertainment purposes and not really being intentional online. So one of the key things is always to be intentional when you're on there, right? Creating and establishing relationships with people online so that you can start creating your influence online. And the question was, how do you motivate yourself to grow on social media? Specifically, when you spend all your time on social media for entertainment purposes. So here's my answer.
So my advice for you is pretty simple, and it's from personal experience. So I run an agency. I love doing social media for others, right? When it came time to do my own, I never paid attention to it. And that's, I think, a lot of the downfall that marketers have, that they love to market others, but they don't necessarily market themselves. And I got upset with a client last year because she said that my tactics weren't working. And I'm like, well, honey, you're not doing the work. So I was coaching her. It was a coaching client. It wasn't an actual agency client. So I would help her and tell her, okay, this is what I need you to focus on this week. I want you to do these actions. So basically, like what you're asking us to help you with is, get on there and respond to maybe 5 comments of 5 different accounts. And so I was teaching her how to do that, right? Mm-hmm. And she's like, it's not working. Well, she wasn't doing the work. So I got upset, and I'm like, I'm going to teach her. I'm going to show her that if you really do what I tell you to do, and I'm going to do it on my own personal account. Lo and behold, I went from 2,000 followers to I'm almost at 8,000 on my Instagram. So start with only one channel. Start with the channel that you're most comfortable with the platform you're most comfortable with, whether it's, YouTube or Facebook or Snapchat or Twitter, whatever it is that you're most comfortable with. Don't overwhelm yourself. When you're trying to get motivated to get social, to build a personal brand, start with one. Right. When you've mastered that, then move to another one. Eventually, after I've been tweeting for so long, and friends have kept telling me, do video. I finally said, oh my goodness, I'm so scared of video. Mm-hmm. I started my YouTube channel. Let me tell you, I love video.
What is it, Exhibit A?
Yeah, I love video. So you will find what you thrive in, the platform that you like. This is it. This is my bread and butter. I love this platform. You'll find the platform that you love. So experiment with the different platforms. Stick with them for a little bit. Take them one at a time, and you'll figure out exactly where you're going to love to live. And don't feel you have to be on all of them to start a personal brand.
You don't.
Okay?
All right, guys, so here's some closing remarks. Make sure that you stay tuned next week for the review and the recap of the second session that we did. It is going to be a lot shorter because some of the questions were repeated, or I would say the majority of the questions were repeated. So some of the answers you're going to see that are similar. I've omitted to condense the next session for next week a lot shorter. So it just gives you those highlights and the things that you didn't get from the first session. So closing remarks is definitely that, you are who you determine that you want to be. Don't let others determine who you are. You need to set your core values. You need to set up who you want to be and put your best version of you forward. If this is who you say you are, then don't be like the waves of the ocean where you come and go. So don't say that one day you stand for this and another day you don't stand for it. Having a personal brand and developing one, it's about leaving your mark. And that's something that I really wholeheartedly believe and that we speak about in this channel. It's about creating your mark, making your mark. Personal branding is not just creating the brand and becoming a personal brand. It's really about leaving a mark, leaving a lasting impression everywhere you go, in everything you do, every tweet you send, every video that you send out, every message on Facebook, and every picture on Instagram. It's about leaving your mark and that impression on someone else. That the impression that you leave is something of value. So that is in a nutshell what personal branding is. And I know that I had talked about how personal branding is, marketing your life, your career, your personality, your experience. So marketing those things, but marketing is one part of personal branding, but leaving your mark is the one that will resonate, will stay, and will help you create the personal brand that you want. Bueno, mi gente, make sure to like and subscribe. Y nos vemos la próxima semana with the rest of the second session for the brand you, where I spoke at the Young Women's Leadership Symposium this past week. Nos vemos pronto.